Pittsburgh sports!
All right, Pittsburgh sports fans, as we start our second show of the week, we just get word that the Steelers are about to trade for Nick Vannett of the Seattle Seahawks. So we've broken it here, even though we can say first because we tape it. You're getting it, but believe us, nobody else has it but us right now.
We're insiders, yeah.
All right. A good evening to Gary, Buffalo Bill, Kin.
Buffalo Bill, I like it.
Chris, Slap Maxwell, Fletcher. And Dave, Fast Eddie, Murtaugh, Finoli. Who's our special guest actor of the night?
Wow. That's I'm going to pass on that one, Dave.
Gary?
Bill, Berenguer, Tom Berenguer?
No. I thought Slap Maxwell would give it away. One of the great shows.
Dabney Coleman.
Dabney Coleman.
Yeah. Okay.
Dabney Coleman on a show called Apple Pie was called Fast Eddie Murtaugh. It lasted 8 episodes. And here's the shocker. Are you ready to be shocked?
Yes.
Ready.
Okay, I don't know, but let me go over here. He was Dr. Leon Bessemer in 8 episodes of That Girl.
Really?
What to do with Don Bessemer? Don Bessemer, I believe, was the boyfriend.
Donald Hollinger.
Don Hollinger, that's okay, never mind. But yeah,
Played by Ted Bassell.
He was on 8 episodes of That Girl.
Yeah, was that Marlo Thomas?
Yeah.
It's Marlo Thomas.
I don't remember him on there, though. That's a while back.
And here's the stunner. The Pirates have tied the Cubs. It's not a win, but it's damn close. It's damn close to a win. So anyways, through that all, how are you guys doing tonight?
Okay, how are you doing?
Doing fine now that we've had our Dabney Coleman, who is still dead or alive.
I think he's dead.
Gary?
I think he's alive.
All right, what beer are you having?
This is homebrew. This is my Blood Orange IPA.
All right.
Maybe the best beer I've ever made.
You're a jack of all trades, Chris, man. I'm telling you.
Good for that. You lose the dead or alive.
I did.
He's alive at 87 years old.
I don't remember him passing.
He's alive at 87 years old and has just acted in a movie. So he looks 87. He doesn't look younger than 87, but the man in Slap Maxwell and Buffalo Bill, I have those on DVD that still, I laugh my ass off today. 2 classic shows, great comedic actor who doesn't really have to.
Yeah, he had a face, his faces and stuff, yeah.
You know what? I'm going to just veer for 1 second, fellas. Just give me
Please.
Sports Night, criminally underrated TV show.
Tell me about it. That was an awesome TV show. That was awesome. I had heard HBO was playing around with getting the cast back together. This was a couple years ago. Of course, with Felicity and her 14-day jail sentence, it might be a little difficult at this point. But a couple years ago, they were talking about bringing them all back together. But look at the stars that it just brought out.
It was incredible. Great cast. Always funny. Always funny.
It was. It was a little better than or it was much better than the show they did. What was the NBC show they did? The Saturday Night Live.
You lost me.
He did. The writer of Sports Night.
I'm not much help. I got to admit.
Oh man, I'm having a West Wing. I'm having a brain freeze here.
I'm kind of in a permanent brain freeze over it. So
yeah,
my Saturday Night Live's going back into the 70s and 80s. Martin Short.
Nonetheless, it was a fabulous show. It was one that to me was Aaron Sorkin. I'm sorry. Who I'm just Studio 60 was the show.
Okay.
With Matthew Perry. which was a fabulous show too. But to me, Sports Night and The West Wing are probably my two favorite sitcoms. Or not sitcoms, shows. Because West Wing's certainly not a sitcom. But two favorite shows on TV, I would say. He's thinking. You're thinking.
Who is me?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what shows I've watched regularly in 20 years. You know, Sopranos, I guess. That's how long ago it's been, probably. Because I don't think
Aaron Sorkin wrote The Sopranos, though.
No, I don't think so.
All right. So,
that one often got 14 days. Is that what she got?
She got 14 days.
I emailed her the other day to see if she can make me a vanity license plate.
Well, I heard in the place she's going to, she only gets 1 hour of sunbathing a day.
Is Lachlan with her too, or did Lachlan go to the same incarceration center?
I don't think Lachlan's give up. What was Uncle Jesse's? What was her name as Uncle Jesse's wife?
God, I don't know. I should know because I didn't watch that a lot, but I remember that show.
Did Patty watch it?
Probably, I'm sure. Yes.
Scream up, ask her.
I have to text her. I don't know if she can hear us where she is right now.
So you're in like a sound cave down there, where
I'm kind of in a hole. Yes, I am.
All right.
I've been in a hole my whole life, but I'm physically in a hole here.
Well, let me grab the only vanity license plate I've ever had. I'll be right back.
Please.
We got to see this. We got a lot of props going tonight.
Nobody took Shemp in California.
Nobody took Shemp.
That's unbelievable.
Nobody takes Shemp in California.
I would be driving on the freeway.
Sure.
I'd be driving on the freeway, and people would give me the high sign as they would go by.
You got to post that somewhere. Really.
Oh my God, guys! Jose Ramirez has been out ever since he broke his hand, getting hit by a pitch. 2 at bats tonight, and his first came back. 2 home runs. Amazing.
Wow. Good sign. He's had a tough year. Good sign.
8-0. This is me giving you the FCC finger, Gary. The FCC approved finger. Okay.
That's right.
You know, it's now 8-0. But Gary, I digress.
I have to digress for a second because Dave, you know how much I love you.
Whoa, you're digressing over my digress?
Yes, I am.
The rare
kind of important.
Digress.
Well, this is a test for those dedicated viewers that watch every single minute of all of our shows, and I know there's thousands of them out there.
That could be.
But you know, we act as if the A's are in, and they're not. So I'm going to pull out a vintage. Can you see that? Seattle Ken Griffey hat from the 1990s, Edgar Martinez. Okay.
Whoa.
Edgar wears into Seattle, a notoriously tough place for Oakland to play. So because I love you, Dave, and you seem to think I have this babushka power or beware of the greeny weenie influence on these things, which
they've been 8 since you made the prediction, so I don't know that you have a green weenie on them.
Well, but since I have so much influence over the outcome of these games, I
We're
figure
not
I
going to
will
talk about celebrities again, Fletch?
What's that?
No.
I figure I will first put this Seattle hat on from the 90s.
So you're putting a whammy on the A's.
Yes, I am, because I know how wildly upset you are at my feeling about the Indians being in a difficult position, which is all.
Now, you do know a high school friend of mine, Jack Scheinman, who I had the great Golden State Cleveland debate with him for 4 years. You know, he moved out to San Francisco years ago. But he is an A season ticket holder. So now you have made me happy, but Jack Scheinman.
Well, Jack will have to write into the show or dial me up in New Jersey.
Okay.
So, but I'm also not done. I also have this fantastic from Dunedin spring training hat.
Of who?
Of the Toronto Blue Jays, who this weekend play the Tampa Bay Rays.
So
I mean,
you're going in reverse now. You're trying to.
I'm trying to make up because now you guys, well, maybe not Chris so much, although, well, maybe he always did. But I'm trying to show you that if I have this kind of influence on the Major League pennant race, we need to talk about this a lot more next year.
All right.
But I think this Dunedin hat, which is one of the coolest spring training ballparks you ever go to for the Blue Jays, I'm actually putting a little bit of the reverse Maluch or whatever you called it.
All right. You're trying to save your Dodgers' ass this year. Is that what I'm thinking?
I honestly, if Jansen's in there at the end of the game again, I think a lot of teams can dump him. So,
All right.
Need to pull out the guy with the hair, the big rookie with the hair. So
I'm saying. Ooh, do you have a special report signed, Fletch, in your repertoire?
I don't, unfortunately. Go ahead, though.
All right. The Pirates have forged into the lead for the first time in 2 weeks.
2-1.
Kramer has scored Osuna and Moran with a double as the Pirates lead the Cubs in the bottom of the seventh.
2-1.
3-1.
3-1. Wow. Oh,
You missed the whole Kramer and Osuna scoring.
Game's out of reach.
What's the matter?
It's 5-1 now.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh.
It's really out of reach.
No, I didn't get that. What's the matter with my phone? Now, Aaron Sorkin was born in 1961, if you care to know. All right. I lead into that because I'm sure he was in a fight at some point in time in his life.
Oh, there's the.
That's amazing. Your transitions are getting fantastic.
Yeah, before we go to your I'm interested in this shirt.
It's just a grace.
He's always thinking of talking about him, doesn't he?
I thought, well, yeah, it's my ego. I'm sorry. What's Chris? Oh, that's a.
Look at what Chris is wearing.
40s or 50s? 40s?
25.
25.
That's cool. The Grays is the Steel City Grays shirt.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's right.
I thought he was going to grab his nipples for a second, Chris.
Fletch's is far better. Yeah, Fletch's is far better.
All right.
A lot more expensive.
No, I like them both. I like them both, except Fletch pulled up from the end, whereas you grabbed your nipples as you. I think the FCC might have a problem with that.
I'm really getting us in trouble, aren't I? All over the place.
All right, you better tell us about boxing.
I said baloney. Your buddy's got a drink.
All right.
I mean, it's interesting. I think last week I mentioned Kovalev and Canelo Alvarez. That's a huge fight. In boxing as can be today. Two top flight guys. Kovalev comes 2 weights. November 2nd. Should be looking forward to that one. This weekend, although I don't think anybody will watch it. Fox's pay-per-views have been horrendous. They promote them terribly. Heyman's guys, the premier boxing champions, never fight. But Earl Spence is fighting this weekend on Saturday night. Not going to be I'm not sure I'd spend the money on this one for a lot of people, but because Porter's fighting style is pretty ugly. But he's a tough guy. Sean Porter, he's fighting. They're both top 10 welterweights. Again, it won't be Leonard Hearns or Leonard Duran, but Spence is a top flight guy. He's very tall, very long, tremendous athlete. He's a guy that if you're going to spend some money, probably somebody to be. And that's pretty much it, I think, right now. The UFC had a pretty good card in Mexico City on Saturday, but the main event ended and there was a riot. So, it's just amazing to me that these countries like Mexico and some of these other countries are so lawless. They get the chance that people go down there, they invest a lot of money, and then you do this kind of baloney. I mean, if I was white, I wouldn't go back. There's plenty of people asking for this.
I didn't hear what you said.
Baloney. Everybody drink, but I mean it this time. I mean, just because the thing ended in no contest because the guy got poked in the eye, they start littering the thing with full bottles.
Was it poked or thumbed?
He got thumbed.
You got thumbed. All right. Now compare this to the Lou Duva Madison Square Garden brawl.
Not even close. That one, I almost went to that, ironically, because I knew Galata was good. I had seen Galata a couple times in Atlantic City. He was big. Galata was one of those guys, but we talk about a big disappointment. He was a guy who was one of the most tremendous bodies and skill for a big man. 6'4", 6'5", 240. And he had a dime head. He had bitten some people before, and he had done some other goofy stuff. But I never expected that to happen. And honestly, he was beating the hell out of Bo.
Dave, I remember that fight. You and I were on the phone the whole time watching that whole thing. And then when they have Duva on the stretcher and he falls off of the stretcher, that was just, it was the most surreal thing I think I've ever seen.
Oh, that was bizarre.
Yeah.
That was
there was a fight in Atlantic City about 6 months prior to that, and we went, and Patty was with me, went with some friends of ours, and we noticed the lack of security. And it was the same thing that night at an MSG. I mean, for boxing, it's a charged environment anyway. You're selling booze. It can be worse than football. You just can't have lax security or people not paying attention. And New York has dropped the ball on boxing a million times, really. They're lucky because they have Madison Square Garden and because it's such a huge city. But their administration of boxing has been horrendous. So that night just should never have. Those thugs around Bo should never have gotten that close to the pipes.
So Gary, of all the places, all the venues that you've seen fights, what's your favorite?
I mean, I've seen them a lot. I've been to Las Vegas a couple places. I haven't been to West Coast, Chris, but I'd like to get to the Forum, and I would like to get to Staples, which does a pretty good job for boxing. Although it's a big. Yeah. I mean, maybe it's personal, but I love Atlantic City Convention Hall. It was built in 1929. It was ready as hell till about maybe 15 years ago, but they renovated it. Every seat's a pretty good one. It holds about 15,000 when full. It's old and it rocks. I mean, it's perfect for boxing. It's gritty enough, but yet they modernize it enough that it's a good venue. And there really isn't a bad seat in the house. And, for lesser fighters, they'll put it like it can be a hockey rink. So they'll put it in one of the U's where the boards would be. And then it's really good, when you have about 5,000 or 6,000 people, because you're really, even in the upper levels are even close. So it is amazing. Even though it's that old, I'd have to say that one. The newer ones, even for the other MMA stuff too, they take away from it a little bit. You're just too far away. You get all the big screen and the music and all that kind of stuff. But for boxing, you want to be close, and it needs an aged kind of feel to it. So I'd have to say Convention Hall in Atlantic City, and it's a shame because they're not really using it. Boxing's not here anymore, and it's really a shame. So
hopefully it's making a little bit of a comeback. So hopefully it'll continue there.
I think I don't think it has anything to do with boxing this time. I think it's Atlantic City's problems are so severe. That's not something we need to spend a lot of time here. But New Jersey as a state, economic problems are so severe, and Atlantic City is triple that. Wow. So I just think they cannot afford. Even the music doesn't really come there anymore like it used to. It's all the oldies tour because they'll take that lower payday. The new venues, new acts and stuff, they don't come there. They can't pay the upfront money. Sad to say.
So, that's a shame.
It is.
I know yours, Fletch, is the Palace Theater in Monroeville.
That was up there. I always wanted to see a fight at the Garden, though.
Wow.
Never.
It's a great venue. I mean, I've been to the small and the big.
What was the place underneath the Garden where they used to fight?
Oh, God, why is that escaping me now? It's escaped me. But, yeah, you're right, Dave. There was.
I walked into the place when I went to a Knick game once. A friend of mine took me there. I never saw a fight there, but that looked like that would have been a very loud, cool place to watch a fight.
I mean, the Garden is good for boxing, although it's very big, and the way it's set up because it's old. The big Garden, the small venue, if you can get a seat close in the fan, which is really more set up for music, but called the Theater at Madison Square Garden. I saw Gaddy there and some other big-time fighters there. When you're close there, that's a fantastic venue, too. It holds about maybe 5,500, 6,000, something like that. Fantastic for boxing, too. So, I mean, you're in that place, you just feel the ghosts more than anything.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly it. I mean, it's like going to the old Yankee Stadium,
Definitely. It's an iconic place for the sport, and even for the other ones. I mean, even for basketball and hockey, it really is.
Yeah. Great garlic dog, too.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Watch.
Well, guys, on this day where apparently impeachment proceedings will be starting, I say this. It might be time to impeach the Steelers coordinators. After the disaster we saw on Sunday. Offensive coordinator Randy Fitchner. I mean, let's think about this for a second. The reason he got that job is he was Ben's guy. Ben wanted him. When your franchise quarterback makes a request like that, it usually happens.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think the reason he liked him is because he gave Ben the freedom to make the calls at the line and do a lot of the last 2 years. Let's face it, Ben's been the de facto offensive coordinator. So let's look at what happened on Sunday. You had a quarterback making his first NFL start, and you had him pretty much in chains. I was watching that game, and I have maybe a 48-inch screen. You know, I'm not like you, Dave or Gary. I don't have the big screens. But there are many plays where I saw all 11 of the 49ers defenders on my screen at the same time.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And at no point was Rudolph in the first half given the ability to check out of that play and do something else. They didn't stretch the field at all. It was really, really a bad game plan on that one. The other thing that I think we're seeing this year, fellas, is they're missing Coach Mike Munchak a lot. Last year, the last couple of years, that was a top-notch offensive line. It was very physical. It's tending to play by my view of it at least, they've been more finesse this season than they have been physical. And nowhere does that show itself more than in the running game or the lack thereof. They've not really shown anything on the ground. Maybe 80 yards a game. You're not going to win a lot of games with that. And James Conner continues. I mean, great story. We all like the story. But the man still has a serious case of fumbleitis, particularly at critical times of the game. Yep. He's probably, by my count, lost them at least 3 games. But back to Finchner, he's not really gotten them in any kind of rhythm with the offense. And offense is so much of offense is about rhythm. Now let's talk about our defensive coordinator. And, guys, I'm going to tell you, in my opinion, Butler is a coordinator in name only because, don't kid yourself, I think Tomlin's running that defense. And I think that, they came out last year and they talked a lot about that. Now, here's a game that, on the surface, that defense did some things pretty well. I mean, they created 5 turnovers. Usually when you create 5 turnovers, you're going to win a game. But it didn't happen this time. There's still a lot of confusion going on in the field. They're getting gashed by the running game. They're hurt by they don't have any linebackers with size. Vince Williams is it in terms of that, and he's hurt. Last week I talked a little about the green dot. That's basically the player who gets the ability to coordinate with the sidelines. And that's like a hot potato. I don't know who gets it all the time. They haven't seemed to settle on it. And the result of that's been a lot of poor communication on the field. You're seeing people miss assignments. Even on the touchdown winning throw, people were out of place. It's a lot like on the offense where you're not getting contributions from some of your key guys. Barron looks to be a very underwhelming pickup, let's say. And Cameron Hayward, I haven't really seen him this year, which is really, surprising as well as he played last year.
First 3 weeks, it's true.
So I think that as this season goes on, we could see a lot of changes, and I think a lot of it may start with the coordinators.
Well, I mean, we've talked about that the last couple of years. I mean, in today's world, the quarterback, strong quarterback versus somebody who should be in there who can be effective. You're right, Fletch. That conflict seems to be going to the quarterback, and I'm not so sure that's a great idea, especially in this situation. Because even last year, I don't think the offense really clicked the way it should have. So I think that I agree with you. I think that has screwed up the team, and if Tomlin's making the calls defensively, it's pretty shocking the way they played.
I just think that they're not communicating with each other very well, and it's going to get better because I think Bush is going to figure out the pro game. It's very much faster than what he's used to, and I think it's going to take him a few games. Dave, you and I talked about this before that. People forget that when Polamalu started, those first few games were kind of a disaster for him as well, and people were wondering, did we traded up for this? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I certainly and I agree with you. I think Bush is going to turn into a hell of a player. I mean, Not just because he's a Michigan man, but because he's that good a player.
But here's a bright spot I did see. Tuitt looked really good. He looked like a monster that game.
He's having a good year.
And T.J. Watt, I can't figure him out. It's like there's sometimes he goes in hiding, and then all of a sudden he comes out of nowhere and he makes some great plays, and you think, oh, wow, this is fantastic. But then he disappears again.
Silent again, yeah.
He's we could say he could be a one-trick pony because other than his occasional rushing, I'm not sure he's been effective.
Yeah.
So, but
I mean, Dave, you mentioned in the last show that they do have a lot of talent on defense. They have a lot of first-round picks.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens with that. I'm concerned about the offense. The receivers aren't really showing that they're able to get open and make plays. But, here's the thing. Fisher didn't do them any favors by getting some easy catches, some runs between the tackles that we talked about before.
Yeah.
I wasn't real pleased about the game planning.
I mean, I just think I think that we're now in a situation where you lose Brown and Bell and you lose Roethlisberger. Your three, love them or hate them, tremendous weapons. You got to be unpredictable, and you got to have a thorough game plan. You got to use everybody. And I agree, Chris. I mean, you guys are more football knowledgeable than me, but I thought it was just completely shut down. You let him stay in the game.
And I think Rudolph has shown he can make the big plays if you let him.
Certainly got the arm, boy.
You see 8 men in the box, you gotta toss it. Running it's not going to work. Just toss it. Even if you don't hit it, you got to stretch it, and you got to put the fear of it in your opponent.
But the offensive line thing, I agree with 100% with you, Chris. That offensive line was one of the best in football, it seemed to me, starting to watch this again since we all got back together for this. This year, they are tentative, and it's showing in Connor's play as well. Yeah. Well, I think he's got his own issues. But
I also wonder if it was blocking for Bell was a little bit different, too, because
it might be.
It was he was such a overly patient runner.
Yeah.
Although he didn't really play last year, so maybe you can take that out of there.
But more explosive, too. Connor, you really got to block for, I think. I don't think Connor's foot speed and Schuster's foot speed, love both those guys, but their foot speed's not at some of the level of the NFL guys at those positions. So your line's got to be playing well. And you got to use a lot of different creative stuff.
At 2.9 yards a carry, Bell is certainly finding out, it's more about just his talent.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Tonight, I'd like to kind of dedicate this show. There's a gentleman a lot of people might not know. He produced, along with our own Josh Taylor, who has helped us out with, been a great contributor to our little roll of books here on Lucky 21, Three Rivers, Pittsburgh First. It's called The Pirate Guide. Gentleman's name was Jason Rollison. This, if you've never seen it, they've done it the last 2 years, is the most in-depth, greatest preview of a team I've ever seen. Jason Rollison was a passionate baseball man. He worked for DK. He worked for Buck's Dugout, PirateBreakdown.com. He was as knowledgeable. He was on Josh's show on The Fan, as knowledgeable and as passionate a baseball man as I've ever come across. I've had some personal dealings with him. He asked a few questions towards publishing the book. And I found him to be just a genuinely great guy. He unfortunately had a short battle against cancer and passed away yesterday at 39 years old. So, as I said, I only talked to him a few times and certainly only really read him the last 2 or 3 years, but I've come to respect him as probably the most knowledgeable pirate writer out there. And so he was an avid follower of him with his articles and such. So it's just a tragic loss, and certainly I'd like to dedicate the show to him.
Good call.
But I'd also like to talk a little about, going on the Pitt websites the last couple of years on Facebook, and just the up and down with either Narduzzi is the worst coach in football or Narduzzi is the best coach in football. Say what you want about the guy. And again, we're never going to be Alabama. We're never going to be Clemson because right now I don't think the school is willing to do what you have to produce winning programs like that. And I'm not saying that as a criticism. I don't know. It's so scungy out there at times. I'm not sure I'd be comfortable with what it takes to build a winning football program. But all I know, though, is this guy with lesser talent, except for one just mind-numbing call, which, again, I don't think they score the touchdown at that point because usually when you get beaten so badly for 3 straight plays, 9 times out of 10 you don't score the touchdown if you go for the touchdown. But that being said, he just coached 8 tremendous quarters where he outcoached guys with much better talent than he.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And having the balls to basically blow a 21-0 lead, your kicker blew 2 field goals that could have kept you ahead. But your defense, as they were kind of driving for the score that puts the nail in the coffin, so to speak, on 2 occasions. They hold them to field goals, keep it to a 1-touchdown game, and then make an incredible drive with just an incredible play, an incredible balls play from the 3 that shows me, I don't care what you say, this guy, I'm proud to have him as a Pitt coach. And, his players play hard for him. It's tough to recruit when you're recruiting against a guy who probably has more latitude to do things for players, but much more important, he can show 105,000 in his facility while you can't do that. So these are kids. They get fired up with that.
Yep.
And he outcoached Franklin. He outcoached Central Florida. And, he takes a lot of crap, but you know what? I'm glad he's a Panther coach, and kudos to him for just being an incredible coach over 8 quarters. And hopefully this is the thing that maybe turns them into a program, gives them the confidence in a program, because last year they were inconsistent as hell. They still won the Coastal. Maybe this makes them a coastal power, so to speak. And they get the confidence to know they can win these games. Because there's not a game going forward this season that they can't win. I'm not saying they're going to be 10-2. I think that's doubtful, but they can certainly be 8-4, and they can certainly win the Coastal again if Virginia hits a couple of bumps on the way to their title. So here's to you, Mr. Narduzzi.
I mean, it was interesting. He did everything on Saturday that the Steelers coordinators, as Chris mentioned, didn't do on Sunday.
Yeah.
He made a lot of adjustments and surprise, and certainly that, typical like the Eagles playing a Super Bowl. I mean, he did all the things you got to do when you're a little undermanned.
Yeah.
Steelers did not.
No.
Steelers coaches did not. So
they did not.
That Central Florida team hadn't lost a regular season game in 2 years.
It was like 30-something, it was 20-something. It was like high 20s they had. Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah.
And a lot of skill position talent. You can see that year after year.
Yeah.
But, I don't know about you guys, but that was one of the most entertaining football games I've seen in a long time.
All the shifting tides and the runs and points.
Without a doubt. I mean, certainly it was entertaining, and it was – anytime you blow a 3-touchdown lead against a team like that, you're going to get blown out at that point.
In college football, it seems like you're going to get whipped. Yeah. Yep.
This guy, he kept them together. Kudos to him. I just
agree.
Express how happy I was at the end of that game.
Yeah, I agree. Fully agree.
Fletch, we'll go lightning on here. Quick prediction.
Well, guys, I'm going to predict the people in ESPN are really pissed because they have to show the Steelers and Bengals on Monday. Not what they had hoped when they were announcing the schedule on that one. But Steelers win 24-20. It's going to be ugly. Productivity in Pittsburgh on Tuesday will probably be kind of poor, but it's at least hopefully going to be one in the W column for a change.
Cool. Very good. All right, Mr. Gare.
I'm piggyback on that one. I'm not I guess I'm not that well prepared to come up with an alternative B, but I think it's going to be 1 and 3. Cincinnati, they generally beat the hell out of Cincinnati at least once a year. I don't know if they'll beat the hell out of them this year, but I kind of think I'm with Fletch. I don't really care so much about ESPN with all the other nonsense they feed us, but I kind of think they win here. I think they'll make it 1 and 3. And honestly, I hope not that they listen to us, but I don't think we're the only ones saying this. I mean, I think hopefully the coaches take some of that criticism to heart. I'm sure the talk shows out there are talking about it. Sure, Matt's talking about it.
Who's coming out of the AL in the wild card, Gary?
It's got to be the Cleveland Indians.
Yeah.
And I think Oakland will. I don't know, but Seattle's been a tough place for Oakland. It's going to be an interesting weekend. It's certainly not the pennant race of 1993 or 1978.
I'm going to go in the freezer and get some Eggos because he's waffling again.
The trouble is none of them are definitive enough to say to me.
All right, let go of my Eggo.
Oh, it's a wild scramble to the last day. That's what I hope.
It will be. It will be. This is a great race. I do enjoy this.
I mean, I'd like to see all three get in. Truthfully, I really would. But
you know what, guys? Thank God there's a wild card like they did, or else there'd be nothing.
Add that to baseball's list of growing problems. I mean, and last night the commentators were talking about how bad the crowd was in Washington. There was nobody there, and it wasn't a bad night here in the East.
Well, listen, it's pup night at the Pirate game tonight, and I think there's as many dogs on the field as there are in the stands. That's what I'm going to say.
Well, quickly, last week I shot up to 7-2, by the way.
I know.
I'm telling you, man.
In 2. So
got to contact Sportsnet.
We have the Edmonton Eskimos and the Rough Riders. I think it's Ottawa.
Yeah.
I don't know if Rough Riders, I'm allowed to say from the FCC.
Sounds a little dirty.
I don't know if that's a dirty connotation of something. But, I like it. I like the fact we don't know what a Rough Rider is.
I could have some idea.
Is it politically correct to use the term Eskimo?
It is.
I would just say that
still illegal.
The Donnie and Eskimo brothers. I will say that.
I changed my pick. Now. I'm reminded of Eskimo brothers. Edmonton wins the game. It's over. We end the show with this.
That's a good ending.
You guys have a good night.
Eskimo brothers.